If Netflix was a person, they'd definitely be invited to the cookout. Sheesh. All Day and a Night. So, All Day and a Night is the latest movie on Netflix. Joe Robert Cole is the director and screenwriter for this film. He's put out a handful of projects, and I'm impressed how so far none of them really seem to be the same. Some directors, when they put out movies, they have that signature that you know is just them. If you watch a movie like Watchmen or 300, you can definitely see that there's similarities. When I watched this movie, I didn't see something like a Black Panther in it. I didn't even see something close to an Amber Lake. And that really worked. Now, this is a pretty gritty film. You know how you hear stories of people growing up in poverty and being able to make it out and be successful? I feel like this movie sheds light on the people who don't. It takes place in Oakland and opens up with the young brother catching a body. Catching a body, the definition for murder. And from the very beginning, you know that this is going to be a really deep movie. I'd say this is more of a narrative style film. It essentially starts at the end and then goes back to when the main character was a kid and shows you how over time he is molded and impacted by his environment and how it leads up to where he's currently at presently. Throughout the movie, the colors and camera angles are very good. There's a scene that takes place at a party, and I want to say it's about 9 minutes long, and it seems to be just one full scene, no cuts or anything. It starts at the beginning of the house and takes you all the way to the back of it, outside in the backyard, all the way to around the block. And in that one scene, they seem to capture the whole vibe of the city. They show you how people can be having fun 1 minute and then shots just break out the next. Acting wise, for the most part, I don't think you really have a problem with anybody's performances in this movie. Ashton Sanders plays the main character, and I gotta start with him. Dude is A1. It's like he caught a couple bodies and actually went to jail to get into the mindset of this character because he pulls it off so well. And here he's an aspiring rapper trying to find his way in life. I wouldn't say he's all the way reckless because he does try to stay on the right path at times, but you can see how with the lack of other options, he still gets pulled into that life and has no other choice. I'm not too sure, but it feels like he's in about 95% of the scenes in this movie. They're very hyper focused on him, and he does a very good job at dominating his role. You can see the anger and emotion portrayed in everything that he does. Not once did I think that he was a follower, and despite his skinny frame, he has zero fear. I really hope he's in more projects down the road because he's very talented. You also have Isaiah John. He plays the best friend of Ashton's character. He's like a 2020 version of O-Dog from Menace to Society. Kind of a loose cannon, but he's very calculative at the same time. I really like how the movie fleshed out his character. They give you real talking scenes between him and Ashton's character, and you kind of get an idea of his mindset and the type of person that he is. For the most part, he seems to be a good day one. Definition of day one: best friend since the beginning. Someone who was there before it all. He does well at trying to keep his guy out of trouble while never really bumping heads with them. It's crazy how their relationship ends up, but it was also something that was realistic and something that was plausible. Also, if you're a fan of Yahya Abdul Mateen, he's in here as well, and he does get a fair amount of screen time. Ever since watching Us, I've been a real fan of his work and wished he dropped more projects. I thought he did good in Aquaman, and I can't wait to see what he brings to the new Candyman remake. In this movie, he's more of a high-level drug dealer that's really cool with Ashton's character. When I say this movie covers detail well, they really do. Little things like him showing up to a funeral and giving the victim's parents a box full of money is something that really does happen. Not speaking for all hoods when it comes to big-time drug dealers, for the most part, they're more likely to take care of their neighborhoods before the government does, and it's crazy because at the same time, they're also more likely to sell drugs to their neighborhood. Kind of hard to explain because it's a different type of environment, but this movie does a good job at capturing those moments, and him in this role really did work. The only gripe that I had, which was super minimum when you compare it to the overall film, was the casting of the dad. Jeffrey Wright being casted as the dad of Ashton's character, didn't really work for me. Don't get me wrong, he's a great actor. People like Denzel can jump in a movie like Training Day and it worked flawlessly. But when it came to Jeffrey playing a drug addict, drug dealing, abusive parent, it seemed like too much to work with, especially for a supporting character. When he was on screen, it was like watching a good guy trying to convince us that he's a bad guy. Everything he did felt forced and unbelievable. And every time he was on screen, I couldn't help but think, what a nice guy. I will give him credit, when he goes to jail in the movie, he seems to be a little more believable than when he was not in jail. Overall, this is a Netflix movie that definitely stands out. It could be a tough watch for some people, but I liked it. I know Netflix is doing the top 10 in the US list right now. If this movie doesn't make the top 5 by next week, I'm finding myself a Karen and we will be speaking to the manager. I mentioned Menace to Society earlier. If you like movies like that, or Fresh, or Boys in the Hood, or even Baby Boy to a lesser extent, I think you'll like this one. I'd say All Day and a Night is a beautiful film of epic proportion. Have you seen All Day and a Night? What'd you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Also, do you think it can be one of those classic movies in the future? I think so. As always, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and attack the comment section. Peace.